You know, sometimes it's fun to just take a walk through areas you know. You know what to expect there and you know what you're going to see. It's kind of like watching a movie you've seen before. You know what you're getting into, and there aren't going to be any big surprises, but maybe you'll see something you've never seen before. Sometimes your friends will tell you of a cool place to go to, so on that recommendation, you might go check it out and see what's up. There's not much risk in it since someone you know and trust told you it's a good place to go. But still, sometimes it's fun to go somewhere you've never been that's off the beaten path. It's exciting to head out to some place that not many people get to. Sometimes you end up with not much to talk about, but sometimes you end up with a real gem of a place to visit. That's a lot like the 2021 film Superhot. It's an indie flick that not a lot of people have heard of and even fewer have reviewed. It's an off the beaten path movie, and you know you're taking a chance when you head that way, but there are still diamonds to be found off the beaten path. So gird your loins and pour some whiskey because we're going into vampire territory today. Here's the rundown. The story opens with three socially awkward nerds, Jackie, Sam, and Kevin. They aren't the computer engineer type of nerds, more the comic book and Star Wars type of nerds. They've all finished high school and are entering the awkward period post-graduation where longtime school friends end up getting separated by life. Kevin's about to leave for college. Sam and his dad are about to move to a new town in a few days, and Jackie is going to be the one left behind. She just quit her job delivering pizza and has emotional issues about her two best friends moving off. Jackie also has a crush on the girl across the street, Carmen, who is also about to move across town to a sorority house. Jackie's had her crush in secret as she's too embarrassed to hit on Carmen, and the fact that Carmen has a boyfriend complicates matters a bit. In short, Jackie's whole world is about to change and she doesn't like it. Not one bit. As it happens one day, Sam and Jackie are driving about and notice Carmen unpacking her things from a U-Haul van into the sorority house. Sam comes up with a plan to help Jackie break the ice with Carmen and get invited inside the sorority house where she can spend some time getting to know her, as well as put in a good word for Sam with the girls there before he gets invited over. So they borrow a car and a delivery uniform from Jackie's former employer, Superhot Pizza.
Listen, Eddie, we're trying to get laid. All we need is the car, shirt, and a hat.
Well, why didn't you just say so?
And set the plan in motion. Jackie pretends to deliver a pizza order to the sorority house and gets invited inside. Carmen arrives shortly after, and we find that the sorority girls, who would be stereotypically snobbish in any other film, are entertaining Jackie's awkward personality and listening to her sci-fi geek culture small talk. Meanwhile, Sam decides to sneak around the house and creep spy on the girls inside to see how the plan is unfolding. In doing so, he sees the redhead sorority girl drugging some drinks being made in the kitchen with the green liquid out of a small glass flask. The redhead steps outside to throw away the flask, and Sam decides to investigate what evidence she might have left. While snooping in the trash can, Sam finds a human hand just sitting on top. And fearing for his friends, Sam awkwardly, what else, bursts into the house to rescue Jackie and get her out of there with a made-up excuse of being late for a movie. The two discuss what happened as they drive away and determine that Carmen must be in danger as she's the newcomer to the sorority house, filled with women that drug their guests' drinks and dispose of body parts in the outside trash can. They decide to enlist the help of Carmen's boyfriend, Brad, to help rescue her from the clutches of the evil temptresses that must have ill intentions for Carmen, only to find out that Carmen and Brad broke up earlier in the day and Brad's a basket case. They tell Brad the story about the poison drinks and have Brad on board, but he is still really emotionally unstable about the breakup. While formulating a new plan, the trio encounters a redhead standing in the middle of the road. Jackie swerves to avoid her and almost hits another car backing out of a driveway. The other driver, with a bad attitude, jumps out and gets in front of them, but the redhead has disappeared from behind them. The bad attitude driver is confronted by the redhead just before she tires of his shit and breaks his neck with little effort. Then the redhead gets shot by none other than Van Helsing himself, or at least a descendant of Abraham Van Helsing. The group of nerds assists Van Helsing with moving the two bodies out of the road, and he tells them they are being chased by the vampire cult because they need to sacrifice a virgin at midnight. Of course, has to be a virgin at midnight. So the group, with the help of Van Helsing, formulate a rescue plan and lay siege to the sorority house full of vampires to rescue Carmen. And Van Helsing and the nerds thwart the rise of Dracula and return the vampires to hell? Now you're going to have to watch to find out. In a way, Superhot reminds me a lot of Clerks in that it has to do with young adults in transition trying to find themselves. More of a in this period of your life type of movie than a true horror flick. Superhot tries and succeeds in developing characters that you invest yourself into so that you actually care what happens to them throughout the film. Sam and Jackie are the most developed since the movie follows their day through to the end. Most of the other characters come and go, but we get a pretty good sense of these two characters and especially what Jackie is going through. Candace Kale puts in a good performance as Jackie, the monotone comic book nerd with a crush on her neighbor girl. The character's pretty monotone through the whole movie, but I think that is as intended to really drive home the character's social awkwardness and misery about her best friends leaving town.
That's actually not our policy. We might be thinking of Domino's. They are right next to us.
By the end of the movie, we have a pretty good sense of her personality, as well as some of her fears about what the immediate future holds. We also have a sense that she has no real long-term goals established yet, so she's kind of in limbo. Elijah Cooke puts in a great performance as Sam, one of Jackie's best friends. He too comes across as socially awkward comic book nerd, but slightly better adjusted than Jackie. While it's no secret that Sam has difficulty with women, a trait that both he and Jackie share, he's not shy about giving it a good college try with women here and there, and even pushes Jackie to act and getting to know Carmen better, which is what facilitates the entire story. I think Nobuaki Shimamoto did a great job as Warren Van Helsing, who I think was the third most developed character in this movie. Van Helsing had the benefit of name recognition for those avid horror fans, so as soon as he introduced himself to the nerd herd, you already had an idea what he was about, where he'd been, and what his character's purpose was. The rest of the supporting cast was pretty well, and I felt there were no really bad performances out of the bunch. I think they did well with the screen time they had. I felt the cinematography was above average for a film of this type. By that I mean that the camera work was done so well that I didn't notice it for the most part. I was simply engaged with the story. Not once did I think that a shot was bad or should have been done differently. That's a pretty good compliment for the camera work. Same for the lighting and sound. Not once was I broken out of the story due to either. None of it would be Oscar-winning work, but it was better than most, especially for a film in the comedy horror genre and a film with a $500,000 budget. The script was tight, and there weren't wasted scenes to be had. Pretty much every scene served a purpose, either character development or plot development. This kept the pacing even and the audience engaged. There weren't really any slow periods once the main plot got underway. It might have taken a little longer than I would have liked to get to the real meat of the story, but I certainly didn't have a hard time getting there. I felt the ending was just a little bit rushed before the credits rolled, but there was some after-story during the credits that tied things up nicely. Well done. In short, I really enjoyed the story. Sure, it was a bit formulaic in its overall arc, but it still managed to give a few surprises to the audience. There's only so many ways to tell a vampire story and keep it interesting, and the writers managed to do so while still giving the audience something fresh to be entertained with. And isn't that the point of a good story? To be entertained. This is the type of indie film I like to spend my time with. It's light, and it's fun, without a lot of pretense. Superhot is currently streaming on Amazon Prime.